All right, welcome back, everybody. We're talking now with Richard Manning. He's president of Americans for Limited Government. That is a nonprofit dedicated to restoring the constitutional limits on the federal government. Mr. Manning, welcome back to the Chris Salcedo Show.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
See if you agree with this. I think the Democrats have been emboldened over the decades because of the timidity of the Republican Party. That's why they are able to right now politicize impeachment, because they're fairly certain that the Republican Party will roll over and just allow this kind of thing to happen, because past is prologue oftentimes. Democrats get to violate the law, and a lot of Republicans like Susan Collins or Mitt Romney want to normalize this behavior rather than stand up to it. Do you think now, after now finally being stabbed in the back by these Democrats, that with this impeachment proceeding on the flimsiest of accusations, that maybe the Republican Party has awakened, that, you know, maybe they ought to consider themselves an opposition party to the Democrats for a change?
Well, I think so. I think we've seen the change in attitude from Lindsey Graham, who's gone from being somebody who really wanted to keep decorum and the rules to somebody who's willing to fight. We saw that occur in the Kavanaugh hearing. And quite honestly, this impeachment is nothing more than a follow-on to the Kavanaugh hearing. One of the things, Chris, that can't be lost is there's a lot of things that are on the docket that the public wants to have dealt with, one of which is that aren't getting dealt with because of this impeachment. The House, neither the House nor the Senate can do anything because of it. And as things like surprise medical billing, which is extraordinarily controversial, and but people are getting medical bills that they didn't expect to get. And the Democrats are trying to push through a proposal that would, in fact, create one-size-fits-all medical bills, which sounds good until you realize that one-size-fits-all that doesn't meet market needs will create scarcity for medical services in rural areas in particular. So it's a very dangerous proposal the Democrats have, and there's going to be a big fight over surprise medical billing very shortly after this impeachment is done, and people need to be aware that there are things going on in Washington, D.C. otherwise.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And I'm going to swing back to surprise medical billing here in a second. I want to pivot to FISA if I can. Yeah, surprise medical bills. You've been doing a lot of work on this recently. I didn't want to let you go without at least touching base on this. As Washington is distracted from the congressionally caused crisis at the border, as they're distracted from coming up with an alternative once the Supreme Court declares Obamacare unconstitutional, here we've got surprise medical bills really hammering American citizens, but Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi can't get beyond their own egos to address the needs of the American people. Explain.
Sure. One-size-fits-all medical billing doesn't make sense. It hurts people in rural areas in particular in terms of having access to medicine, access to medical care. But what does make sense is to try to create a system where the providers, the doctors, and the insurers go into an arbitration over costs. And that way, the actual decisions on who gets paid what is determined in a neutral court. The key element of it is the patient who didn't agree to paying that money is not charged that money. So it takes the patient out of the liability loop and makes it a fight between the doctors and the health insurers.
Well, we'll see if the Congress can get out of its own way, actually start working once again for we the people instead of these internecine fights in between them and trying to decide their political outcomes inside of the Congress. Sir, I appreciate, Mr. Manning, your time here as always on the Chris Salcedo Show. And we got a lot more to come here, folks. We're talking about peace in the Middle East. President Trump announcing a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's coming up on the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV.